suspended.
Dr. Ron, I think I've been running a lot of commentary on this particular thing, and my camera register said I am so much disappointed in this suspended Chief Justice to the extent say, as I'm breaking up, no. Now I had a lot of respect for her, but the tangent she's going, personally, I have lost every bit of respect be a number one man. Because that be I can say asem sia and the woman for asem yansia we are obiana nam ho come and the nyansa. But when you get exposed to situation, sometimes very hostile and uncomfortable, how you conduct yourself, and you the caliber of person you are, and your character. When your character is subjected to fire, now with me prune who come out clear, and I just say indeed you are who you are. Circumstances and situation, can bend you from your ground. And for her, I am so much disappointed because you see, Dr. Ren. The law is the law. Starting free say the concerns are Ghana for war about the judiciary has been registered. And the process thus far now acts activated. There hasn't been any single breach of the constitutional arrangement as written under Article 146 downwards. Since this whole process started, there hasn't been any constitutional infringement. There hasn't been any contravention. There hasn't been any error that has been committed within the confines of the law. Yet, you listen to lawyers making a whole lot of noise around this whole process as if John Mahama is hounding somebody out. So my argument is that as lawyers, as intelligent, smart people, if you want to raise argument and answer, activate a discourse or a certain conversation, you need to premise that conversation on a foundational error that has been cited, a foundational error that has been committed by the president. And in law of contractor, you say fraud vitiates every contract. Any contract that is built on the premise of fraud, that contract is null and void because the contract was premised, was negotiated on element of fraud. It doesn't matter the contractor, but once it is negotiated or premised on fraud, everything is null and void.
They just said the foundation is based on deceit.
Exactly. So in this case, for Chief Justice to be making demands, in the lawsuit now, there must be a fundamental legal error that has occasioned along this line. Now, no, I'm a catcher. President Mahama and Namway need to me to sack any Chief Justice. Constitution in your man, the president the power to sack any Chief Justice only become activated when he is petitioned. This point has to be underlined. The president, the powers to remove Chief Justice only become activated when he is petitioned. So, president any whole plan to remove Chief Justice. So, when John Mahama received the petition, that power became activated. And there are constitutional processes that has been outlined. Whether you agree or you disagree, that is the process. And this process, a lot more judges have gone through. They suffer the fate for it. And that is how it is. So for Tokonu to wake up a day and tell us, judges no motia semno ebinum ebeye bias etiano enti yenyi omum free so without providing why there will be bias, no basis again yen stop it process yen jante no na yen koti ono na sem na ye wi a na ya ba beto so eno so one ye beba so again or say premier facie na ya establish in the case Council of State established the credence. Premier Facia said there is a merit within the
petitioners
the interpretation of Article 146. It said there is merit because Oko Constitution right three things: infirmity, both body and mind, misbehavior, and your friend is saying yes, and incompetence. So once this box is etike. Now, Council of State, find say indeed, case must proceed to its logical conclusion. That is what you say, Premier Facia has been established. The woman is saying, sir, that process, should be declared null and void. And my question is, why would that process be declared null and void when you haven't been able to establish a single infraction along the line? I see. Because you see, the Constitution actually says President J petition on former Council of State. Now, so we na so more establish premier facie na a team will be set up. Dr. Ren, so what can take 146 down also? There is no procedural arrangement under the Constitution that has been said, sir. This is what the Constitution says. But in implementing it, this is how we go about step by step where you go about it. And then when there is a procedural arrangement, as you go through, as I was step it, and as I was keep any of them, then you can say that the eventual outcome should be declared null and void. I don't know whether you understand me.
I understand it, but you see, what even a Yemen Kakane said, she being a Chief Justice should even understand, say, whenever there is a prima facie in any case, it does not necessarily mean, say, the person, ibe buane for, and say, obedi bima and also obedi for. And she being a judge, I was thinking, say, for the Constitution to be enriched, I was hoping, say, a Chief Justice would even allow the process to go without even saying, say, no, let me fight the prima facie. Because basically, prima facie, what it means, they say, until proven otherwise, Nejuma no enyade e behwere no. Enti yenkohwehwemu, yekohwehwemu na say uhunson a why should Mahama say obey we free war? Uhunson a you still stay. But then again there's question marks.
Yeah, you see when the point came and lawyers were arguing gidi at the time sir Ochro letter the command president say at that point of establishing the premier facie she must be allowed, or her voice or her input must be considered. I told you on this platform, sir, lawyers who were making those arguments, were making silly arguments because you see.
Menshia a friend is a MP, Nana J. Bafo, and make it from of MPP and make it a year argument and say, oh, now I'm after all, the president near an idea. Don't mind
that. I make us say, you see, there is difference between knowledge and wisdom. Dr. Ren, that process of establishing premier facie is not an adversarial process. That is why in the Constitution, Article 146, at that point, there is nowhere where it says, say, in establishing premier facie, the Chief Justice must be involved in the process. Because it is not an adversarial process where certain adverse findings can be advanced against the Chief Justice at that point. It's just a matter of establishing merit, credence, knowing, say, process, and our petition, meet certain constitutional threshold to be. Because the threshold, say, there are three things, and I'll wait to the petition against the Chief Justice. So that threshold, because Council of State, they are not judges, they are not lawyers. So it is not an adjudicatory platform. No. So at that point, even the Constitution does not say the Chief Justice at that point must be heard. That power has been given to the President and the Council of State only. But in this case, President Mahama was kind enough to listen to her, and she was given a hearing, which I disagree with John Mahama at that point, because she needed not to be heard at that point. Because Article 146 down was now. I say, after establishing the premier facie and the committee has been established, the Chief Justice must be heard either in person or by her lawyers. Because at that point, it is an adversarial process that has been activated. And it is a one tiena. An adverse finding can be advanced against her. And in that regard, she could lose her job and she must be heard. Just as the principles of natural justice dictate, said the accused must be heard. So when a committee is set up, say, president, at that point, if she is not heard, the adverse finding can go against her. And in law, it is only fair and natural, said the accused must be heard. So what kind of constitution down was the woman must be heard either in person or by her lawyers. But in establishing premier facie, There is nowhere where it says and over the years, I'm many chief justice and I did a man for or you'll be or smarter. You see, constitution cannot state anything. I think who that provision, you know, we could have come up with a procedure to regularize that process. And can be favor.
You see, and no come say many a times you call for no mudi and this is where I always seem to have the problem with our educated Ghanaian, no, because sometimes we leave a gap. Instead, said the educated Ghanaian will understand. Say if I am a chief justice, a man or a woman a constitution, no. Dear na metimi aya fa ho ebetimi di a review bi ababa. Dan no. Emrano will move with the times and seasons of a year, the dear a year nation, and also how the world is going. But I am conform as a chief justice. Now, it's one to Oma Dani Sebi Obusumbi, Asamun bi Baya, Yendia Sem, Yenyashe, ye input in reviewing many of these laws. No, now, the old system and a cake. And here, when you are talking about Article 146, no, Yama Ghana Frontiers, say, Article 146 of our constitution, no, talks about the removal of chief justice of what superior courts and also chairman of what regional tribunals. Eti chere kwanya efaso a emre bidune se pese yi chief justice free wa the framers of our constitution, you know, e de ato it is enken say na wo kenko ba yi ana ko hunu sa de we say menya boni bi bate bibi a kire bi no sa na ma betimi asidi a ma me nkokom na me hwe na se review bi wo mo ne betimi aya na nkamaye na nka aboa. Ivan to us.
You see, and there are platforms to learn. And then Obi on your lawyer can learn law and even study, you can say challenge lawyers. Chrome Hano, people go to study law instead of sitting back to do research to know the improvement we can do in our law. I'm one of them radio so can say Munebinomio Mujinabo. Eddie Jesabian Kwasia Chinja, then Sabia or radio. So just for people to know, say, I'm a lawyer. For me, those things don't move me. If you want me to respect you, it is the clarity of thought, the intelligent kind of way you express, you know, that is what will win my heart. For instance, now, John Mahama too, and the vice president at Tukwayin. You heard Afenyo Makin and Co. say, yeah, impeach President Mahama because all ones were in Obia and the vice president in New jurisdiction. Dr. Ren, isn't it nonsense for anybody to say, and the modern time, a president being out of the jurisdiction means he's incapable of being president. Does it make sense? In this world, technology advances are by moving out of your country at the same time, working, doing your job as a president. You say, and I'm so once where or be in Intino, as you impeach you because you're president. What informed that provision in the constitution, Kwame Nkrumah? Abra otu kwanyana o yeturu wenechino. So in setting up this constitution, we quickly reminded say Kwame Nkrumah tu kwanyana msana only vice president na obi ni nechini na yetu no. In order to avoid that in the share constitution, no says a president tu kwanya yanswe obi na on act in his stead. Say yentimi nkotu no because oni hokra obi tina naimu but na hwan na ekotu hwan. Enti nyansa ne nimdia aba technology aba ene se Donald Trump to free America say or come Middle East ya swear obia in because he's still president. Even when he's in the air, the Air Force One is an extension of the White House. He can sign executive decisions. He can do everything even when he's airborne. So can we say because Trump had to quarantine America yanswe will be in. These are trivia.
But even in our case, our constitution, the three arms of government, and today we say the four arm of government, the judicial, the media, Ababekaho. For the three arms of government, they are always operating here with the executive. This executive need to kwanya. We have a friend is the chief justice. The chief justice is to kwanya. We have the parliament. The speaker of parliament can also equally act. For the president, there have been some instances, before time when the president and Ali Muhammad too, the speaker of parliament then acted as a friend is saying a leader.
No, that is what I'm even speaking against. You don't need anybody to act in the president's stead. The only time you swear in somebody is when the president is incapacitated.
Or even so be away free.
Yes, either oyare, he's indisposed, or call hospital, and answer the president is undergoing a surgery. A surgery, sometimes you can lose consciousness. Sometimes you are under anesthesia, you lose consciousness. So in that particular break, we cannot experience a vacuum. That is why in the US, I think that not Biden caught for your fellow says surgery be. That there was a conversation said then the vice president should be acting as president because the president in the process of the surgery may lose consciousness. So you only swear in somebody when you are incapacitated. For instance, President Mahama Kragana for some Rome and I may call America, may share Donald Trump. He's going there because he's president of Ghana. So he's still functioning as president of Ghana. You don't need to swear in somebody. That phrase in our constitution was slotted in because Kwame Nkrumah called it two no. And one for BNC 192 and then the Saba communication. What way you are in London, I'm in Ghana. We are talking video. You can see me, I can see you. So if the president is traveling anywhere or White House, so not say chief of staff from Ghana with a phone, whatever decision they can make within a second. So you don't need to swear somebody in the absence of the president. It doesn't make sense when the president is out there functioning as president. So in a way, you have two presidents functioning at the same time. Does it make sense? What is a pope? Pope na the administrative head and at the head of state of your friend saying Holy See. Well, two crime call America, I see the Pope who president and what to be that. It doesn't make sense. So me free say these are things that lawyers in this country should be researching into. Now how trivial some of our laws have become, how they've outlived their essence and usefulness. But radio. So that is why sometimes I catch us that most of the lawyers in this country are losing respect because non-lawyers are making cogent, more intelligent legal analysis than the so-called lawyers.
Now we see when we talk about law is all about conscience. What is conscience? Conscience is a wisdom. From wisdom comes a knowledge which is information. When somebody is a lawyer, I always say that the conscience of a man comes alive when laws are created, and that is why we give birth to what people follow, and then we call them lawyers. So law simply means conscience, simply means wisdom. So at least you have to use the wisdom to apply. And we say, assuming I'm making, would it really benefit? Will it really help? And it's yes, idea. Yeah, when you intim so near fan conquer yamra and yen shemra near shemra no nipa intimindi so. And I think there are many of these things are the way your constitution anymore. I said by now no cry be free more. Now and then again and also to say it is about time we teach our Ghanaians, the children from the basic education level, Obia about constitution. Everybody should be taught about our constitution so that people will know their rights and also responsibilities as citizens. Because when a lot of people are informed based on the Yankasi constitution, making more informed a friend is saying judgments and also help with the conversation and how we can move a country forward. Since
I know people just want to be or they are able to turn the common and Chromia who saw a lawyer for radio. So that is what matters to them. They are not thinking about how to educate because there are a lot of uneducated lawyers hanging around in this country. Sometimes Obiba radio is not Kasat or Kwana Siamfin. No, say or on a Saturday and or on a Friday morning. Sometimes it's so embarrassing. So,
as somehow okay, they said you will be an economist now, opposition, Obisa 127 questions. Now, what about Bemuno, by vice president, solving the main problems in the crowd, no, done Mr. Digitalization.
So tell me the analysis you are making here, not logical analysis. They are succinct, clear-cut, intelligent analysis, and I am making about the law. And the Chief Justice, then tell me you're so much disappointed in her. Then again, this woman is questioning the credibility of the very people who are deployed to sit on cases and they're biased without providing any basis. Don't you think that is very shameful and very embarrassing? Because these are people who are panel and one case. They have the tendency today to be biased because and this is the administrative head of the judiciary telling people, say, oh no, judiciary now or an administrative head, no. There are people within bias. Don't forget that these are people who have taken an oath working under you. wo no mu na ye adwuma. So then sasana tie dia and some na da bia me Dr. Ren and other people are saying say your judiciary is dirty, are filthy. People are corrupt, you know, are not correct. Because one kasa waka say Justice Ponamine, I see you do, and other people, you know, will be biased against you without providing any basis. And the Supreme Court has almost says, "I am not my man or can you into a month wagu."
Ivan, me boy engineer ho. So my meaning him sa name way, and she was appointing these people. So omundi other cases.
So if you really want to see smart, intelligent people, let them get exposed to situation like this. Then you assess their level of intelligence.
Those people are biased. So the question is, Sanko no appoint the other people cases no. The cases maybe pronounce judgment on some people, no. Is it fair for those people to also say Sanko for no bias in Tino?
Yes. So I don't know. So as our conformity, she wants to drag everybody along. And this is the very reason why people are calling for the judiciary to be pruned. And you, instead of saying, what doing is our fighting for honor, you are confirming doubts. And then you are putting face, indeed. Sagana Nikas judiciary corrupt. Individuals there not lack credibility. Chief Justice and is confirming that particular thing. And again, Dr. Ren, you see, my culture says there is a vast difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge, people can go read vastly, but okasa sometimes to say nyansa and yasa penini power you never book code a degree, but okasa to say nyansa because there is a vast difference between knowledge and wisdom. The knowledge you seek, you know, if you are able to put it in a practical term, not all working within the confines of ethics, respect for humanity, and a display wisdom. In this case, this is a Chief Justice Amam for say, oh, your son, and I'm sure that you've seen some of the, yes, people at Taiwo with the MPP say ruling na banyina no na favor MPP. The Attorney General then, our Godfrey Dame will be in the political lineage. There are thousands of lawyers in this country. Yes, she has every right to go for whichever lawyer, and then I won't take that away from her. But don't you think that commonsensically? Don't you think that going for Godfrey Dame as your lawyer will rather seek to give credence to the already held impression of Ghana for what say you will in bed with these people? You as an ordinary person, I will tell you, will you make that judgment call? I'm telling you, I'm asking you.
What can say about wisdom, eh? And you talk about knowledge. You see, wisdom is the precursor or the source of knowledge. It is wisdom, so you cannot apply because wisdom is application. And in answering your question, you definitely say there are some people who sometimes they know the truth, but then it's hard for them to admit when the truth hits them. So instead of them being honest to the truth and to the loss of the nation, because it is them today, they seem to be more knowledgeable in what they have already used to affect certain lives of some people. An example is Charlotte Osei when she was the EC. And today, people are defending Chief Justice. And these were the same people who boldly used the same Article 146 and they suspended Charlotte Osei. Ivan, wrap your honor the other ones, you know.
So the question I make kind of say, even common sense alone is enough to tell you, sir, that was a wrong choice. It's a case, it's a matter of exercising poor judgment. So if a Chief Justice, the whole administrative head of the Supreme Court, can exercise such poor judgment, you can imagine the kind of poor judgment I exercise in most of the ruling about and thing are affected for. So Neamana and I make us a Neamana or of subjecting who to public ridicule and public mockery. And again, or catch their court to say, young suspend the processes now, air cost na yendina sem we are, and send about to us. Court to a boss as no good say in let's establish that. Court to about to go. And I make us say, you see, you say a chamini beers Rayana. This is a woman, a man forced that the case, him. Omuhia response in term, and yes, dear Bisia, the Omu seeking will become inconsequential. Or tenancy boon and niguso. I have cited a lot of examples. For instance, in the case here, NDC and 6 other political parties, the EC court or more registration at the regional, at the district level. Yes, some are meant to acquire the date I said the bottom, or buy any EC registration, we answer them could asem. Okay, levy.
Yes.
11 case court, no. Or the date no kosher baby, a buy any a passing 11 a week. Okay, don't live. Yes, I'm not court, no. Omo tenancy ma double echo retirement and sana ma me we ema ye di double asem nti wudi bem cry useless and without shame or no Ghana for any catch Supreme Court say you stop the process na yem kodi na asem wie na ye di wi ansana and a court to about to agu nti ene say oyo ba she should fail to appear before the committee. The decision will be taken. So I think that you see this is a woman.
Now, one can a yes salo Santro Kofi Akpafulo lobby likpe for the for the first time in the history of Ghana, Omenya representative in the Parliament House.
Good, and there are several examples you can cite. And to the Bia Bekachira Ghana for say, so when you're to me, it doesn't matter where you are. Exercise that particular to me, with the Nyansa. Now who said you are dealing with humans? Yeah, the human factor is always constant. When I take position, you go, somebody will come. Yeah, we are just watching the space. You understand? So when you are first winning the pabedi, to me, manipa who some first meji to me some the serve humanity. Manji to me some the better nipa console by arrogant, abakakasafi because baby I want to do things that you are so impregnable, say, obedient me for the sun count, and then we and wabaya kika across a camera ya bona sumo station and what who be no diwachi. That is exactly what the Chief Justice is doing. Because some of the suits now maybe now they call it if you catch us a suit now of Nyansa be any video no way and today it has been confirmed.
Also why to say the camera why then
ya bona sumo station obi who be no to mirika diwachi. And she has allowed herself to be ridiculed. Because so if it's a solid case, Dr. Ren, what you need to do is appear before the committee. Now committee and or catch and say, baby or moody asem no crano, you see omra osu castle, na a hokrano, a security zone, na a intimidating. Hey, another Chief Justice through security zone. These are shameful requests. Very shameful. Say yes, or no mara your friend say
some might be one.
So clearly, we will be aware smart and what your children will teach some man cana. Now we answer and the way now or ye Chief Justice and answer for fro. When I can answer, one not a jumquana and answer young share for him. Because some of the arguments she's making are so petty, so childish, so infantile to the point that you begin to question Nema cause within our judiciary. So I think that Obi or Biden too for. So unrelax it. I don't know the day. It's not as if you not be listened to. Go and make your point. I know that there's a committee no free say what the bema. You will come back. Committee no free say what the far. You go home. Nya first person I will lose what you want. There are vast Ghanaians. Maybe entitlement and some kind of nation because you were there. So retirement package in as 4 hours. I can idea.
Or fight so by a pension eja. A dime be any bodyguard, be any security, be any.
Yes, because I say, ya Pamoma coffee, you lose everything. Maybe an internet and yam break giddy, but be a dreadia. We are home here, ye. Ghana for Nankasa and a judicial near CM or one from a young. And now she's mocking herself, exposing herself in some middle sometime. Yeah, I'm a fair, but you the politics show when you know, yes, some of this discussion. You might think that she's being hounded. And that emotion will drive you to overlook some of the sensitive key things na about this issue, because I think that or appear before committee, you know, and I only more a daily and anka either so obedi man na obedi for and no would have brought her some dignity than the kind of dogfight na wasi gatama or kono time is animguasia and a chira with the kind of person she is and why Ghana for say she should go home.
And yet we are going. Heaven knows where we are going. Ebusi Auguswa Wutie Rainbow Radio 92.4 FM. Yene ora.